friends, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Christina, and in today's video I am going to be sharing an October homeschool check-in and November homeschool goals video. So I'm going to be talking to you all about what we actually got to in October, what we plan to do for the month of November, and then give you some kind of updates and reviews on some curriculum changes and some life changes, some major life changes going on in our family. So today, a mega bundle launches. So another thing that I want to share with you is that the winter mega bundle is live starting today, and I will link that down below for you guys. It is amazing, and I'm going to show you a bunch of things that I have printed and the thing that I created for that bundle in case you are interested. Stick around. This video might get a little bit long, but I have my cup of Earl Grey tea. It is a beautiful fall day. Typically I'm a coffee person, but something about like when it gets a little chilly outside, I still like the cozy cup of coffee vibes, but like the heat goes on and my throat gets dry and it just feels more like a tea type of moment. I don't know. So let me know down below, are you a tea or a coffee person, or does it depend? Let me know. This tea is so good right now. Before we jump in, I just want to share with you today's video sponsor, which is First Step Phonics. Now, I'm going to share with you a little bit more about First Step Phonics later on in the video because they are related to our November homeschool goals, but First Step Phonics are beginning readers. So I'm excited to share with you what I got from them and how we plan to use them in our homeschool. So stick around for later in the video to check those out. Thank you, First Step Phonics, for sponsoring this video. And if you are not already following me over on Instagram, guys, in the next few weeks, I will be sharing more about First Step Phonics over there as well. Okay, so let's talk about what my October homeschool goals were. So something I've loved about these videos is that it gives me an opportunity to like really slow down and reflect and look back at like, what were our goals? Like, did we meet them? Hopefully you guys are continuing to like them. So let me know. Like, you guys said you wanted videos like this. You said you wanted me to continue, or many of you gave me that feedback. Do you find them helpful? Is there anything that you would change about the videos that would make them more helpful? Is it getting redundant? Like, let me know. And then also, what other videos are you guys hoping for? Like, what would you love to hear more about, or would you like me to talk about? And I will try to make that happen. So this was my October wish list of things that I really wanted to get to for October. Starting the natural medicine unit was one of those things. That was planned in the spring, I think, to be my very first homeschool unit of the 2022-2023 school year. We still have not started it, guys. It keeps getting bumped, and you would think that's indicative of the fact that like we're not that interested in it, or I don't want to do it, or it's not great. I am so interested in it and I so want to do it. I think I keep waiting for a moment that I feel like I can do it justice because I don't want to glaze over it. It is still like, I'm gonna make it like a November, December goal, but we still have not gotten to it yet, guys, and it was at the top of my list. We did complete the deciduous trees unit and we absolutely loved it. Fall in New York State is breathtakingly beautiful. Like, it is just, it really is breathtaking. It's stunning. Like, even as I'm looking out this window at this beautiful tree right in my window, it's just, it is unbelievable. And so we love studying trees and leaves. The whole month of October, we spend tons of time focusing on trees and leaves. And so that was really great. That is Nature Study Club. I've talked a lot about Nature Study Club. We love Nature Study Club. Start Playful Pioneers. I'm gonna check these off because does that make you, I'm literally checking the boxes, you guys, even though I make fun of that and feel like we need to not be tied down by that. But we did do deciduous trees. We did Start Playful Pioneers. We are loving Playful Pioneers by the Peaceful Press. And I've talked about Playful Pioneers before, but I hadn't started it yet. So I was not giving you like a here's my experience thing. It looks like this, but this is only the first 2 months. It would be huge if I printed it all, which I might. I might talk to my friend Jolene over at Pure and Simple Printing and have her print for me. This one I printed myself, but it is a literature and project-based curriculum for elementary students. Now, I have an 11-year-old and an almost 15-year-old that I'm also including in on this, and they're loving it too. They are totally into the main chapter book that we are reading for month 1, which is Little Britches. The reason why I chose Playful Pioneers is because I had been wanting to read the Little House series with my kids. We have not read it. We did read Farmer Boy last year. We loved it. We went and visited the Wilder homestead, and it was a wonderful experience. Well, Farmer Boy is the book from the Little House series that you're supposed to read in month 1. So I reached out to Jennifer Pepito, who created this curriculum, and said, hey, what should I do? Because we've already read it. It wasn't that long ago. I don't really want to read it again, but I really want to do Playful Pioneers. And so she recommended that for month 1, we read Little Britches. My older 2 boys are loving this book. They're the ones that are most into this book. So although this says it's for elementary age students, and a lot of the printables and the copy work and maybe even some of the picture books are definitely geared towards them, there are certainly components of this curriculum that I feel like are well suited for my 11 and almost 15-year-old. And so cycle 2, so people that have done this curriculum that want to do it again, like maybe a few years later, cycle 2 goes through the Little Britches series. And so for the first month, we are going to read Little Britches in place of Farmer Boy, but then we are going to jump right into all of the Little House books and pick up with those. And then who knows, in the future, maybe we'll read the rest of these, or my boys might choose to read them independently or something like that. But that is our plan for right now, and it is working beautifully. There are also picture book read-alouds that are in the curriculum every day as well, and we are loving those too, because myself and my older kids included are learning stuff, but then they're also more geared and engaging for my younger kids. So it is working out beautifully. There are different levels of copy work included. There are print copy work, cursive copy work, different levels of the print copy work, illustrated versions and non-illustrated versions so they could color or draw themselves. There's so much in this that I absolutely love. There are recipes and handcrafts and all of the things. I am planning a fun field trip to go along with this, and we actually took a field trip to the Iroquois Museum the other day, which was wonderful because we learned about Native Americans just a little bit. We've just kind of scratched the surface so far in Playful Pioneers. So a couple weeks into it, but absolutely recommend it. Loving it. I will link it down below for you in case you're interested with a discount code. Finished the Apple unit. I can check that one off my list as well because we finished it. We loved it. We were doing an Apple unit study from Books and Willows. We loved it. We went on a trip to the apple orchard. We made apple recipes. We did apple crafts, all of the things. So I checked that off my list. The Hudson River unit, we still have not completely finished it. We're almost done. It's a unit I created. I'm going to go ahead and check it off because we are going to finish it this week. And that ties into the very next thing on my list was to start Idlewild. And I have shared that with you guys. I shared in the October goals video that I was planning to start it. I didn't have it on hand because it was getting printed. I shared in a more recent video, once I had it in hand, I showed you guys a little bit of a flip through and how I plan to use it. We have since started it. We've done it for 2 weeks now. We are loving it. I don't want to do like a lot of repeated information on it if you've already heard this, but I was looking for something that would be a nature study curriculum that would include some sort of like devotion or scripture reading or Bible study, and it is just perfect for us. We started with the tree unit in there, which was a week-long unit focusing on trees and the letter T for the younger kids to tie them in. And it was wonderful for all of my kids. Now that one says up to 10 years old. Again, a lot of it is geared towards the younger ones, but there was plenty that my older kids got from it, and they actually really enjoy Idlewild a lot. It also uses a lot of books, so it is a literature-based curriculum. And then there is a Bible study devotional style. It's called the Word Studies that goes along with every single lesson, and it is simple enough that my younger kids can follow it, but it has enough depth, spiritual depth, that myself and my older kids have plenty of discussions surrounding it too. So highly recommend Idlewild. So we did trees the first week. The second week, we started the water unit, which is like the W unit, again, the tie-in for the younger kids. And I did that because we're doing the Hudson River unit that I created, and Janice, who created Idlewild, who is such a sweetheart, actually reached out to me and said, hey, I noticed you're doing Hudson River unit, I'm not sure if you noticed there are a handful of river lessons in the water unit for Idlewild. And I was like, thank you so much. So I actually decided to start right from the beginning of the water unit. For the past like 5 days, I've been on a little bit of a break from Instagram. And so I haven't been sharing as much over there, but I will continue to share over there as well. Hiking Adirondack High Peak. This is on my wish list. We're not quite ready for that, and it is getting pretty cold in the Adirondacks. So I think we're gonna try to work our way up to that, and maybe next summer / early fall, we will make that our goal. We're gonna try to do some hikes that aren't quite as intense first. So that is not getting checked off, but Idlewild is. Apple picking, we did that. Plymouth Plantation is something that we are definitely going to be doing for the month of November. That is the field trip that I really want to tie in with Playful Pioneers, because as we're learning about colonial life, I am so excited to go to a village that shows colonial life in action and also has a Native American village there as well that they can observe and interact with. And I'm so excited because we visited the Iroquois Museum and that was great, but Plymouth Plantation and I think it's Patuxet Native American village, it's like one museum kind of thing. It's in Massachusetts. It'll take us a few hours to get there, but I am so excited to bring my kids there. So in a couple of weeks, when we kind of get to the point in the curriculum where I feel like it would best fit, we're gonna head there. They have a Mayflower replica there as well. So I'm so excited to do that with my kids. That is definitely on my November wish list, but we did not get to that in October, which I didn't necessarily think we would, but I wanted to put there anyway. Iroquois Museum, we did. Bronx Zoo, I also had on there. We're gonna wait until the spring for that. If you did not know and you were in driving distance of the Bronx Zoo, Wednesdays are free. You have to get on the website on Monday when they release the free tickets, but you can get free tickets to go to the Bronx Zoo on Wednesdays. I think it's every Wednesday of the year is free. So that is my goal. That would be like a free trip minus the travel expenses and stuff like that. So that is everything that I had on my wish list. There's only 1, 2, 3, 4 things that we didn't get to on my wish list. Oh, I didn't mention vitamins. That was something that I shared with you guys. We definitely stuck to being better about taking our vitamins. So I will check that off as well. So something I did get around to doing was this monthly reflection for October. So in my planner at the end of each month, there's what has worked, what I would like to change, things to be grateful for, and growth I've noticed. So I've already gone over a few of these things with you, but we also did finish the Ready to Read program, which is why we started Idlewild. So the Ready to Read program, if you have a child that is kindergarten or first grade, or you're teaching them how to read, it is by Gather Round Homeschool. We absolutely loved it, and we finally finished it, which is super exciting. It also it was a full curriculum. It included math and science and all of the things in there in a unit study style, which we love. And so my now second grader, I have the Good and the Beautiful math ready to go for her. And that is one of our goals for November, is to start that. However, I did plan on jumping right into it. And instead, what I'm going to do is we are going to just have some fun with math for a couple of weeks. And I just want to bring this up to say, it's okay to do that. You don't have to finish a curriculum and jump right into another one. You can take seasons where you just want to explore. She loves math. She loves lessons, and she actually doesn't mind workbooks, but she also loves hands-on things. She really loves it all. She loves to learn, and that's what I want to keep for her. And so I figured, what a perfect time before we jump into, it's her first math only curriculum, because the Ready to Read program had math woven into it. I figured, why not take this time to just explore math? She randomly told me one day that she wanted to learn multiplication, and I was initially in my mind, I'm she's too young to learn multiplication, but I'm why not just let her try it out if she wants to, instead of making it a math lesson. I have musical multiplication by the Good and the Beautiful, which I had gotten a couple years ago for my second oldest, who just kind of needed some review, and it worked well, and we didn't need it for very long, and she loves it. So I'm doing it randomly with her. We started doing it maybe 3 to 4 weeks ago, and so we'll continue doing that as long as she's interested in it. And it's mostly memorization, but that's totally fine. I'm not worried about it, whether she grasps it or not. She's interested in it. I'm exposing her to it, and that's great. But I wanted to show you a couple of the things that I'm going to use just for fun math stuff for her. One of my goals in general, which maybe is something that I should have started with in the beginning of the video, like one of my general goals for November, or even just like the rest of fall moving into winter, is to like continue slowing down. And this is like always one of my goals, but there are seasons that get a bit busy. Fall has been a little bit busy for us in good ways. Like we have found homeschool groups that have been a really great fit. We have had like family and friend time, and my older two boys played soccer, and my daughter's in gymnastics, and it's been really, really great. But I don't want to like keep adding things and keep being busy. I think we can handle it for a season, and then we need to scale back a little bit. And I kind of feel like we're taking that shift of maybe scaling back just a little bit. And so I wanted to mention that as well. I want us to have time where we're not worried about like, we need to do this curriculum 4 or 5 days a week. If we're going to finish it by the end of the school year, we need to be finished. Like that doesn't have to happen, even though we can get that mindset. Like I can tell you as a teacher who taught in the classroom in both public and private school, multiple different grade levels, you do not always finish curriculum. You rarely finish the curriculum at the end of the year. And so we don't need to think as homeschool moms that we have failed if we don't get to the last lesson by the date we had decided that our school year ends. And then if you're a year-round homeschooler, you still don't have to do that. And let this be a prime example. Like we're starting the Good and the Beautiful Math Level 2 in November, and probably it won't be until mid-November, because I want to make time to do some fun math stuff with her and not have it be like an added thing that she has to do on top of everything else. And so the first thing that I thought would be fun is these little fraction tiles. These came in our fall knowledge crate and we haven't used them yet. And I feel like they're just such a fun way to manipulate fractions. And so I'm going to expose her to fractions a little bit. We've talked about fractions with baking, just kind of touched on it here and there, but I feel like this would be a really fun way to do that. And so another thing that I am making time for in November as we slow down and don't pack things in too much is things like crafts and activities from our knowledge crate. We love knowledge crates and we use them pretty regularly throughout the year, but we haven't done a ton of our knowledge crates in fall yet. So over the next couple of weeks, while it's still fall, I want us to dive into our knowledge crate stuff a little bit more. Well, if we don't get to all of the activities, I save the stuff. Some of the stuff that we have done in the fall has been even from last year's fall crate. And then some of the activities that I've put together have been a combination. If you follow me over on Instagram, you know what I'm talking about. Like I'll pull different things from last year's fall crate and this year's fall crate and do like a Play-Doh thing. We love knowledge crates. I will link them down below as well. But that's another thing that is a November goal, is to slow down, enjoy some of those fun activities and crafts and things in there. So on the topic of fractions, this is another thing that I plan to use with my daughter as we have fun with fractions, is this cute little pumpkin pie fraction set from Thistles and Biscuits. Now, if you've been around for a while, I used to talk to you guys about Thistles and Biscuits all the time because I absolutely love Thistles and Biscuits, but we have not used them a ton lately. However, we are going to be jumping back into using Thistles and Biscuits this week with using a lot of manipulatives for math. This is one thing that I think Thistles and Biscuits, they do a million things so well. I love them so much. But one thing they do really well is fun math manipulatives. And they have like a pizza one. I can't even remember them all now. They have quite a few fraction sets. They have beautiful art and fraction studies that are amazing. If I don't pull them out this week, I will definitely pull them out in the future when she gets to the point where she is doing fractions in her curriculum. But these have like a half and, you know, a third and quarters. And I think it goes all the way up to 10/10. And so she will manipulate these little pumpkin pie fraction things. And that is one of the fun math things that I plan to do with her. Also from Thistles and Biscuits that I plan to do with her that I meant to pull out during our apple study and then I just never got around to it is the Place Value Apple Kit. That is so adorable. I used this a little bit last year and I saved it. And so I mentioned earlier that for the like knowledge crate stuff that I don't use, for example, from the fall box, I actually use the knowledge crate box to not only save like the old fall knowledge crate stuff, but also other fall printables and things like that. that I'm not going to need at the ready the rest of the year, and I will store it in that knowledge crate box, and it goes in my basement. So that's just a system I started doing within the last year that works well. And I do the same thing for the winter box. Like I have a winter box that I will pull out that will have all of the old winter knowledge crate stuff that we didn't get to or that was like reusable, as well as other winter activities and printables and manipulatives and things like that that I put away at the end of last winter. So we will be jumping into the Good and the Beautiful level 2 math in the next couple of weeks when I feel like we're kind of at the point where, okay, we've exhausted the fun manipulatives as far as like new learning, and then we'll jump into that. Also, another thing that we kind of stopped, not necessarily intentionally, it just kind of fell to the side, was the More Than Words Living Bible curriculum from Rebecca Spooner. That is something that we started maybe a year ago, and we kind of like touched on. We would do it for a little while and put it down, do it for a little while and put it down. And so I think this would be the perfect time to pick that back up. And although it is a Bible curriculum, it does include a lot of like poetry and art study in there. It also does like synonyms and antonyms, and there are some language arts elements woven into it. It is not a language arts curriculum or anything like that, but it does have some of those components. And so we will use this as an opportunity to bring that back in as well, because I do really love like the character study and the Bible study that goes along in there. I will try to remember to link that down below. I grabbed it on Amazon, and I know it is in my Amazon storefront, which is always linked in the description box, and find it should be under like homeschool materials and resources. But anyway, moving on, things to be grateful for. I am reading The Life-Giving Home by Sally Clarkson, and it is such a beautiful book. It has really ministered to me in terms of like going to that next level as far as homemaking goes. I love the way that it's set up. The whole first part of the book is just this beautiful experience with Sally and her daughter and their thoughts on what a life-giving home looks like. And then the next section of the book is broken up per month. So there is like a whole chapter on each month and kind of how they create this life-giving home. So what I plan to do is, now that I've gotten to the point that are just about the months, I skipped right to October and I read that, and then I waited, and I'm getting ready to read the November one, and then I will just read one chapter over the next year, and I'm sure I'll read it again in the future. So really cool book if you're looking for a book about like homemaking and creating like a life-giving home, essentially. I'm also reading Wild and Free Family, which I'm really loving. Mothering by the Book, I'm still working through. I'm about halfway through, but I absolutely am loving that one too. And then Holy Hyuga is the way that you say it. I want to say Holy Hygge because I like it better, but that's not the way that you say it. And that is also about creating a life-giving home, but it's a little bit different. So they connect, and they kind of both minister to me in a similar way, but it's kind of from a different angle. So I'm loving that one as well. We are also learning more about the Sabbath and biblical feasts. We've been digging into the Bible, but we've also been using the guides from Kindle Togetherness. If you don't follow her over on Instagram, I highly recommend it. She is a Messianic believer. She has a pretty beautiful testimony. She creates these guides for each of the biblical feasts for someone who knows nothing about them to learn about them alongside their family, and it's really beautiful. So I will link that down below for you as well if you are interested in learning more about the Sabbath and biblical feasts. That's something that I'm grateful to be learning about together with my family. And then growth I've noticed. Justice's independent language arts was something that I forgot to mention last month, that he did finally, after all this time, start, and it's not his fault. I don't mean finally he did it, but we finally started him on his independent high school level 1 language arts from the Good and the Beautiful. Now, this is something I purchased for him over a year ago for last school year language arts that we just didn't get to. We had so many other ways that we were engaging with language arts that I just felt like it was too much. Even though I was really excited to do it, I've tried to be very sensitive about, okay, just because I'm excited and just because it's amazing doesn't mean it's for right now. And so I waited until it seemed like the right time, and it was the right time. He is really enjoying it. It's also challenging him in ways that we weren't necessarily challenging him as like a family study. And it's been really great so far. So he's still just in the first unit. There are 10 units. Again, that is another curriculum that is purposed to be done in a year that I am not worried about if it takes him 2 years or a year and a half or whatever it may be, because we don't necessarily do it as often as is like planned or recommended because we have so many other things, because we want the freedom to just take a field trip whenever we want to without worrying about, oh my gosh, this is going to throw off our days with our curriculum. We don't want to be bound by that. So I wanted to mention that as well, that he is really loving that. And I think it's a great fit for where he is right now in his learning. So moving on to anything else that I did not touch on yet as far as November goals, because as I was going over the October goals and reflections, naturally you've heard some of my November goals, but I'm going to go through them really quick to see if there's any that we missed. Another field trip that I want to get to in November is Howe's Cavern. It is a huge cavern or cave. We are going to study parts of the geology unit from Idlewild, parts of the landforms unit. So like we'll hit caves in the landforms unit. We'll hit like rocks and minerals in the geology unit. And then I think M is for minerals, gets into more like gemstones and things. I have to look at it more, but I did write it all down and plan to do, G for geology, L for landforms, and M for minerals. And I'm really excited to do those and then visit Howe's Cavern for a field trip in November. Something that we will also be doing to go along with that unit is little passports. I don't know if you guys have heard of little passports. So we are trying them out as a way to do more science experiments, which is something we don't necessarily do a ton of unless it's like a simple one that goes along with a nature study or something like that we're doing. And so we chose to get the caves and crystals one. And so that'll be kind of like a hands-on thing that we do while we're doing Idlewild to get ready to go visit Howe's Cavern. It has like a little booklet and instructions and all of the things. And so I will share more either here over on Instagram as we try that out. But that's another thing that I have on my wish list for November. One last thing that is on my wish list for November, unless I'm forgetting something, is using the First Step phonics books with my now 4-year-old. I can't believe he's 4. I'm going to talk in a future video all about how we're handling preschool for my 4-year-old and curriculum and all of the things. And so when First Step Phonics reached out to me to try out their products, I was really, really excited because these beginning readers are for ages 3 to 6. And so I feel like these will be the first start for him. There are 13 books in this first books set. And it really outlines on the back like the differences between their books and other similar products. And it talks about like no extra numbers or extra symbols or anything other than periods that could be confusing to like super early readers. They contain only 3-letter words or shorter. So instead of being mostly 3-letter words with some 4-letter words, these only have 3-letter words or shorter and complete and correct sentences only, which I think is really important for literacy in general, especially for someone who used to be an English teacher. That really bugs me. So I'm really excited to try these. These will be the ones that we jump into first. And then it may be a while till we get to these. We'll do like probably a flip through on Instagram or something like that for you guys. But this is for grades K through 1. This is level 1. Short vowels and 3-letter words, and short E is the focus there. And so there are 5 books, again, 3-letter words only, nothing extra to confuse the reader. There are 80 books total in the First Step Phonics system. So I am super, super excited to try these out with my 4-year-old. I can't wait to let you guys know how we like them. Let me know, have you heard of First Step Phonics? Have you tried First Step Phonics? I am interested to see. I will link First Step Phonics down below for you guys so you can check them out, and you can also follow them over on Instagram. I almost forgot that I wanted to share some of the things that are in the winter mega bundle, including what I created. I know this video is going to be super long, even with a lot of editing, so I'm just going to share with you really quick that I created snow kitchen recipes. Now, you may have remembered from spring, I created mud kitchen recipes. These are very much like those. There are recipes for if you have snow where you live, if you don't have snow where you live. There are 2 different versions. One is for pre-readers like this that need the pictures and maybe a little bit of assistance, and then one's for your children who are reading that don't need any pictures at all. And I also created these little letters and words that relate to snow that can go into like sensory bins and things like that are just to use on their own. I also have a recipe for sensory snow in here. I printed out a bunch of stuff that I wanted to share with you guys, but again, I know this video is super long. There is so much stuff that I'm going to be using, like for my 4-year-old, like this, things that go along with books, like this is evidence from the text questions that I'll use with my 7-year-old about the book Owl Moon. There's a bunch of poetry for poetry tea time that I printed out. Just so many things. There's some grammar for middle and high schoolers. There are some writing prompts, descriptive writing for middle and high schoolers. So many things I'll be sharing throughout the week, next week on Instagram, a whole bunch if you want to see more. Also, if you click the link down in the description box for the winter mega bundle, you will be able to see like everything that's included in the bundle there as well. Now that we have gotten through what we do plan to do, you may have noticed there were some things that like I didn't mention, like nature study club. So I want to talk to you about that. This is a major change. Since spring, we have been doing nature study every month, nature study club every month faithfully. And it has been wonderful. I really don't have one complaint about nature study club. However, I've been kind of like thinking and praying recently over the last few weeks about November and the things that I wanted us to do and how we were adding in extra curriculums and things like that. And I was kind of feeling like something needed to go in order for us to not feel like we're just piling things on. And so when I remembered, because I did know this, when I remembered that for November, Nature Study Club topic was the night sky, I realized that that was the best choice for something to go for the month of November. Not because we're not interested in the night sky. We are super interested in the night sky. So even as I'm saying this is really hard for me. We have studied the night sky a lot. One of our very first units from Gather Around Homeschool was space, and we did a very in-depth unit study on that. Many times throughout our Exploring Nature with Children curriculum, which we still jump in and out of, we studied like the harvest moon, and we studied a lot of different units that just included studying the night sky. And so I just felt like that's something right now that we don't need to spend a whole month on or a lot of time on. So we are skipping, this fly is driving me crazy. We are skipping Nature Study Club for the month of November for the first time. And we may jump right back in December, or we may wait till January. We are not done with Nature Study Club. We absolutely love it. And if you have not studied the night sky or your kids are interested in the night sky, I certainly recommend it for you because we have absolutely loved it for all of my kids. It's been great. We are just not doing it in November. And that's okay. Like, it's okay for something to be great and you love it and still not do it. So I just wanted to throw that out there. We are not doing that for the month of November. So that is one major change in our homeschool. A major life change that has occurred that is a really exciting change is that my husband just got a new job. And if you've been following along, I don't talk about it a ton, but my husband was working 3 hours away for the last 6 months, which means he was gone 5 days a week, which means we only saw him 2 days a week. And we were thinking about making that a long-term situation, and we were in the process of purchasing land about a month ago now, and we had developed the land a little bit and purchased building materials and things like that. Some situations happened that were very unfortunate at the time that caused us to pull out at the last minute, and it was very discouraging and very upsetting for all of us because my kids were really excited. We had been up on the land together as a family multiple times and all of the things, and it just didn't make sense. It was really one of those things where I'm like, God, I trust you, but I really don't understand what's going on right now, and I don't understand how any of this is going to work anymore. And so long story short, it was a very quick turnaround, and he is back home and works locally now, and it is such a miracle and a blessing. And I share that because it's a new thing in our life, but also just to encourage you that if you are in a season that just does not seem like it's making sense and you don't see where God is making sense of it, I want to encourage you that I have been there so many times. I have been there in so many different ways, and every single time God has come through. And so I just want to encourage you in that it may be a short season. Like that 6 months felt like a really long time for my husband to be gone. But God's grace was on it because it was definitely a door God opened, and it was a blessing to our family, even though it wasn't easy. But there was a very short time towards the end where it seemed like things were not going to work out, that I was in this season of, God, why? Like, why are you allowing this to happen? Like, surely your plan for us, God, is not for us to be separated indefinitely as a family. And I know we didn't make the wrong choice. So I'm not even questioning that, like, we didn't make the right choice with this job. Like, I know you called me to be home full-time homeschooling the kids, and this was the door that you opened in order for that to be able to happen. But now it's not making sense anymore. So what's happening? And with really not a ton of effort, like, my husband is a hard worker, and he was working seriously hard, and he was praying, and he was looking for another job. But the way this job came was God. Like, it wasn't, we did not do it on our own. I believe God honored his hard work, and he honored our prayers, and he honored our attempts at honoring him and everything that we do. And he came through like he always does. And so my encouragement to you is that if you are in a season like that, keep trusting in God. If you're struggling with trusting him, tell him. He can handle it. Like, he can handle all of our real feelings and not reject us for them. And so that is my encouragement to you. I will be praying for you. If you need a specific prayer regarding anything at all and you feel comfortable dropping it down in the comments, please let me know. If you are new here, I would love for you to stick around. I share all kinds of homeschooling content, motherhood, big family life, all of the things. So if you are new here, introduce yourself down in the comments below. I love to get to know you guys. If you are not already following me over on Instagram, you can follow me over there at rooted_homelife. And I hope to see you all soon in one of my next videos. Until next time, stay rooted.